Welcome to Holly's Pandorium, featuring your host, psychic medium Holly Jordan.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm so glad you're here. This is Holly from Holly's Pandorium, and I have today with me a new guest I have not had on before. This is Pat O'Keefe, and she has got a resume that I am amazed by. I mean, I thought I did a lot of stuff. This lady has got it. She has done so many things in the paranormal world and just in life in general. So I'm very excited to hear her stories. And welcome, Pat. Welcome to my show.
Well, thank you, Holly, and thank you for the wonderful introduction.
Yeah. I would love for you to tell us how you kind of got started into becoming a psychic. How old were you? What time of year was it? Where were you living? Can you kind of paint us a picture and give us an idea of what was going on in your life?
Sure. I was one of the fortunate ones. I was raised by my mother and my grandmother, and my mother was a palmist. My grandmother did the old-fashioned, what she called spirit board, what we call the
Okay.
Ouija today, right?
Right. Yeah.
She was born in 1919, 1 year before women had the right to vote, and
Oh,
that's
wow.
something. I was never a wild feminist, but that was something that she reminded me of as I was growing up. So it's something that I told my children, to really appreciate
Wow.
their right to vote, and that their granny, their great granny, when she was born, her mother did not have that right. But anyway,
Wow.
so it's been my entire life. When I was 4 years old is the first connection I had that I remember, because we start actually retaining memories around 4 years of age.
Sure.
My father worked he was a jet mechanic with the Air Force,
Hmm.
and we were outside of Fairbanks, Alaska. Is it Everson? I'm terrible with names.
That's
Air
okay.
Force Base, but that's where he was. That's where he was stationed.
Right.
And so we were in the in-between time of the year. And that is when everything is twilight. It's like twilight 24/7.
Oh, wow.
There's maybe an hour or two of daylight, hour or two of night, but it's all twilight. And so in the twilight, and my mother would always keep a little light on. I was sleeping with her that night, and I see her floating into the room. I didn't realize until later that my family has the gift of, astral projection, what the
Oh,
Army calls remote viewing.
sure.
And so she floated into above her body, and I watched as her soul set into her body. And so
Wow.
from then on, I've been connected with the paranormal. My grandmother, she was a reader, and we lived in the mountains of West Virginia, and so there was no television. We finally
Right.
got we finally got one station. I'll never forget it. It was out of Blueville, West Virginia.
Right.
And on Friday night, there was this, I forget his name, he was Polish, and he had a little show. That's the TV we had, that and
Cute.
Westerns. And so we read, incessant readers.
Sure.
And my grandmother kept like Wonders of the World, Mysteries of Egypt. I mean, those
Right.
are the things that I grew up on. I remember being about 11 or 12 and reading, The Black Arts by Richard Cavendish.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, I was just introduced to a fake magazine was a thing in my family, right? My granny
Right.
got it religiously, and
Right.
then I would read it after she would finish with it. So that's kind of my background. That's how I got started, if you will. It's
Hmm.
The supernatural has been part and parcel of my life. Now, I had a near-death experience when I was 13 years old,
Oh, wow.
and yeah, I drowned. When they got me and my sister up, they had no idea how long we'd been down, but we were
Wow.
at the bottom of the pool.
Wow.
And I was there long enough to see the proverbial light. And, I heard my great grandmother's voice, and I was floating towards it. And all of a sudden, it was like somebody grabbed me by the shoulder and just pulled me back. And as soon as that happened, I woke up. And I mean, I was literally, pumping out gallons of
Sure.
water. So, both of us were extremely lucky, but that was definitely a near death experience for me. And it seems like after that, even though I'd had this connection, it just ratcheted up.
I
Um,
bet.
so, so that's kind of my story, and it's been on from there. I've read, as you can imagine, probably hundreds of books on
Sure.
the paranormal, all facets of it. I grew up in what I call a radically haunted home because it wasn't just we had ghosts. We
Mm.
actually had a room that would expand. It expanded in size, which is a very rare paranormal occurrence.
Yes. Yes.
It was really interesting when we lived there, and it was a tar paper shack. We was poor. Poe, as we call it in the mountains. We was
Poe.
Poe.
We was
We was
Poe.
Poe.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I
we
get
were
that.
Poe.
Hmm.
And so I'll never forget this room. If you remember that 1930s furniture, how massive
Yes.
it is. So we had
Yes.
a vanity with the moon-shaped mirror. It was
Oh, those were
right,
beautiful. Yes.
yes, right in front of the bed, right? And then over here we had a shipper robe because there was no closet, right? What they call a
Right.
shipper robe, where you
Right.
would put your things. And then she had like I think it was a full or a twin bed, and then there was a table next to that.
Okay.
When I went back years later, there wasn't enough room. If you would have put a queen bed in that place, it would have been right up against the wall.
Oh,
It was unreal. And so, but things like that were unusual would take place. Like my mother, this happened several times to us. One time she jumped up and she said, "Oh my God, there's water running down the walls." And we all looked back. We were sitting on the couch to the back bedroom and we saw water just flowing down the wall. So mom got the butter and a mop, and I went running back. With her was nothing, no water. And
did
the
you guys
room,
feel anything when that was happening?
did
Other
we feel
than
it?
other than viewing the water, did you hear the sound of water? Did you feel any senses going on with that?
No, it was just, it was like a day to day in this place,
Wow, I
It was
guess
just,
so.
it was just, yeah, just the experience. Probably the most unsettling experience outside of actually having had an encounter with this energy was we heard an explosion one day coming from the kitchen. So my mother and I and my sister Pam, we ran into the kitchen, and a butcher knife had flown from the cabinet where or the what do they call it, the uh,
Cutting
anyway.
board? Yeah.
Yes, it was
Okay.
near the cutting board, and it had flown to the geographic center of that room, and there was red all around it. I mean, just splattered red. And
Scary.
well, to this day, we have no idea what that red was. Like I said, we just went with the flow. So we got some towels and cleaned it all up. Took the butcher knife, put it back in the drawer because
Incredible.
yeah, that was it was just it was just day to day. I don't know how to describe it other than that. For some folks, it's when you get something like that, it's maybe a once in a lifetime event or something like
Sure.
that. But that's not what it was like in the house that we lived in. Now, two things real quick. The house we lived in was cannibalized from an old house down the holler, an
Okay.
old West Virginia holler. And it
Okay.
was called the Sam Hannah Holler House. And the
Okay.
Sam Hannah Holler House was known for being haunted. So they
Okay.
cannibalized that because we was Poe to
Mm-hmm.
help build this house. And
Right.
then years later, we found out that there was an artesian spring that ran right geographically in the center of that
Oh,
house, right through that house. Yeah, underneath. And
interesting.
yes, it was. So I really feel that that probably gave so much energy that manifestation was easy for whatever
I bet.
spirits may have been there.
I
Mm-hmm.
bet. Well, it sounds like there was a lot of dynamic energy, psychic energy in the house, probably some residual and more, but clearly you were in it almost sounds like a type of psychic vortex to me because of all of the things that happened. So definitely there was a lot connected to that dwelling for sure.
Well, I always looked at it as, a vortex, certainly, but I also felt that my mother and grandmother, they were just so good at what they did.
Right.
Like my grandmother came out one time. This is a funny story, and my favorite. She came out and she was so angry she played with the old board. That's what she would call it, the old board.
Okay.
And she came out and said, "I'm never messing with that old board again, Pat." I said, "Well, why not, Granny?" And she said, "Well, it told me that I was going to go and I was going to pass my driver's, or that I would fail my driver's test, but he would give me my license." Now, mind you, this is the fourth or fifth time that she
Oh,
tried.
oh
She
my.
failed every time. This is Lewisburg, West Virginia. She
Hmm.
was a terror on the roads. Nobody wanted to ride with Granny. So when he goes, so she goes and takes her test, and it's the same old cop because it's Lewisburg, West
Sure.
Virginia.
Right.
Takes her around the block. She fails once again, and he says, "Mrs. Roberts," he says, "you failed again." He said, "But I'm just going to go ahead and give you your." So the board
I
was
love
right.
it. I
The
love
board
it.
was right.
That's
And then
darling.
and then my mother, she just she had the ability to touch people really. I mean, she
Hmm.
read palms, but she really was an energy, connected to energy, and she would see things.
Hmm.
And I'll never forget a friend of ours had stopped by, a young man, and he'd asked for a palm reading, and my mother had given him one, and she said, "Don't go home tonight. If you go home tonight, you will die." I know this is a little morbid, but it happened.
No, I get
And
it.
she tried everything she could to talk him into just staying on the couch.
Hmm.
And he went on home and he died in a car wreck on the way home that night. So, I,
Mm.
I think their energy and maybe, the fact we were teenagers also, so we have
Sure.
all of that energy going on,
Yes. It's,
help create
yeah,
this vortex. Yeah.
absolutely. Well, and with three of you in the house at least, and you said you have a sister also?
I have two sisters.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
So were they experiencing things along with you? And did you talk about that growing up?
Yes. Everybody. There was no, there was no look, the worst of the house was what we called the room that I explained had
Okay.
children literally expanded during
Right.
a certain time, in the history of that house. And nobody wanted to go in that room. No one wanted to sleep in that room, right?
Hmm.
And I will never forget. I was dating this 6'4" Pennsylvania, chef. He was a chef, and
Hmm.
he was Pennsylvania. He was, typical Northerner. And I'm not saying anything bad about our Northern
No,
cynics,
no, I know
but
what you mean. Right.
he was, and it was like you've got a choice here. You can sleep on our 6 foot couch. He's six foot
Right.
four, or you
Right.
could sleep in the room.
Hmm.
And we told him about the room, and he said, "No, I'm going to sleep in the room." Well,
Okay.
the next morning I go trotting through, to go to the kitchen, and I look over, and there he is hanging off the couch. And I said, "It got you, didn't it?" He said, "Oh my God, Pat." He said, "In the middle of the night." Now, he wasn't the only one that gave witness to this particular
Right.
phenomenon. He said that whole bed. Now, this is a heavy metal bed from the 1920s, 30s,
Okay.
really heavy. He said that bed rose up and it started going like this, just bouncing him back and forth. And
Oh,
so
wow.
yeah, he left the room.
That would wake you up.
It scared him to death.
I bet. I bet. My goodness. Wow. So, how old were you when you started doing readings for other people? When did that come to play?
Uh, okay, when I was 13, I was really into finding a spiritual path. I know
Hmm.
that's, there was just something about the Eastern religions that, or paths really, that called to me. So I did
Sure.
a lot of study during that, but I didn't start reading, and I'm just saying that because that was a marker for me, right?
Sure.
Just
Of
an
course.
interest in spirituality. But I started reading for people when I was 16,
Young.
16 years
That's a
old.
young age. Yeah.
Yeah, that's 50 years ago. That'll give you some perspective.
No, I completely get it. I,
Yeah.
I'm not dissimilar in my history. I started doing things for my friends, not even realizing I was. I
No.
would just get these very direct, very specific messages from spirit. And I was very bold and would just blurt things. And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize I was doing psychic things. It was just, I just knew stuff. I knew that I knew that I knew.
Mm-hmm.
And that just became part of my personality, I guess. It just, I
Mm-hmm.
would just blurt stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, our
So
common sense.
can you talk about your book? Now, what made you decide to write a book?
Oh, I've actually written 9 books. I
Oh,
think eight or 9 books, and then I've got one audio book. So well,
wonderful.
I was a journalism. I was actually a journalism teacher for a while, and then I
Wonderful.
also was a journalist. And so writing has always been part and parcel of who I am. I've written probably, gosh, dozens and dozens of articles for
Sure.
different magazines around the world, like Ghost Voices magazine, Paranormal magazine, Phenomena magazine, Haunted Times, literary hatchet. I mean, the morbid curious, and the list goes on.
Nice.
Witchology, and those are just top of mind. So yeah,
Sure.
and then photographed also. But yeah, I just this is the book. It is that I know you're referring to. It's Appalachian
Yes.
Granny Witch Magic, right?
Yes. That's the
And
one I
I
saw. Yeah.
Yes, well, I am actually working on a documentary about granny witches, and it is
I love
I
that.
have a soft premiere for September 12th, 2026, which is next year. So I'm
Okay.
finishing my last interviews in August, and then I will begin the laborious project of editing that. It is a labor of love. I am a direct descendant of Appalachian granny women. Granny
Nice.
witches is what some people in the modern age would call them.
Okay.
And I want to preserve those stories, not just mine, but others. So I think I've interviewed like 9 or 10, maybe 10 women and a man, because we have male healers in the mountains.
Sure. Sure.
They were just not as common, if you will,
Of
as
course.
females. And even during what we call the burning times, we forget that 20% of those accused of witchcraft were men,
Right.
80% were women, right?
Yes.
Uh, so anyway, this is does the same thing. It talks just a little bit about my family history, our connection to, the mountains and that mountain magic that is really practical magic, because the kind of magic that we practice in these mountains is what we call sympathetic magic, right?
Okay.
Like, let
Okay.
me show you. I was going to show you a couple things.
Okay.
Like, my husband was out, one day, and he found this little critter. Can you see him? Ooh,
Okay.
ooh.
Okay.
What it is, it's a black snake skin, right? That's been shed
Okay.
by a black snake. And people are put off by snakes because they get kind of a bad rap in some religions, but in others they're considered, you know, really a purveyor of wisdom and
Right.
can be used in healing. In fact, when you think about it, the very signature or
Hmm.
symbol of medicine are, two
Two
intertwined
snakes. Right.
serpents, right?
Right.
So ooh, that was cool on camera. But anyway, so, so if you have healing needs for someone, right?
Right.
Or if you need wisdom for, something that you're really looking introspectively, or you want to find that center of connection with divine energy, the
Right.
snake skin would be a good element to use. And
Interesting.
then I've just got these little things. I don't know if you can see them. They're not going to get me now, but I still don't. They still get my respect. And these are little hornets, right?
Okay.
So so the sympathetic magic part is, if I wanted to like sting someone in some way, right? To make something sting, then I
Okay.
could use the hornet
Okay.
carcass with the sting attached in order
Hmm.
to do that. So anything that you find in nature
Hmm.
has some sort of magical properties. And in these mountains, we didn't have metaphysical stores. I mean, we was Poe. I did mention that. So,
Yeah.
so what you would find on your daily is what you might use. Now, Granny never thought of herself as a witch, and she would have been very offended by somebody who would have called her that. But she was like, she actually served as a midwife to some folks in
Sure.
those mountains. And she had, she'd go across the mountain, help a lady have her baby. And where a little few years later, it was expected, if you were having a baby and you had a doctor now in the area, you were expected to fix that man a full meal before you laid down to have that baby.
What?
But yes, yes.
Wow.
My granny had 5 babies,
Hmm.
and on the last one, she had a doctor. Only on the last one. And she had to get up and she had to fix that man's meal before he got there.
Good
And
heavens.
yes, yes. But when she went and helped birth the baby, then
Hmm.
or helped the woman birth, she would fix a big meal before she would leave for the family.
Wow.
Totally different. I
Yeah.
mean, you know,
Different
um,
perception of the event. Definitely.
Yes, and she never told me about a baby she lost. So, it may be something that if it happened, she just wished not to talk about.
Sure.
But, um, but she did tell me about several that she did help. So, and got here okay. So, yeah, sympathetic magic. So those are the stories that are being lost with the generations. What
Yeah.
I do for my little grandbaby, and her name is Anna.
Hmm.
And she is the light of my life, and I'm trying to pass down these stories to her. She's 7 years old.
Oh,
Uh, and so, yes, in
that's
fact, in the book,
great.
I know in the book, it shows a page with her very first spell.
Oh,
And
cute.
yeah, and it shows her in the garden. And also, I am raising her with the lore and the stories of the old countries that resonate with us, which are the Celtic nations.
Sure.
We're primarily Scots, Irish,
Right.
English, German,
Right.
and French is our background. And so one of the big things are the elementals that you see, in folklore. I don't know if you can see this, but that's Anna with little fairy wings.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's Anna at the fairy tree. And the
Nice.
fairy tree now is loaded up because the fairies love anything shiny with
Right.
lots of sun catchers and things like that. So
Okay.
that's really the motivation for the book.
But that's wonderful. So, if someone wanted to find your books, are you on Amazon or how can someone find you?
Yes, I'm on Amazon, Barnes and Noble online. I don't know, pretty much all of them. All,
That's
the
great.
online things I do self-publish. Yeah, it's good if you have your books on other places like Barnes and Noble and those sorts of places. It shows that you're selling some books because
Sure.
they take a look and then they decide what they're going to do. And I forgot to mention there are spells in the back of the book.
Okay.
Now, some of them are more new age, and you'll get a blessed be here and there, but
Sure.
a lot of them are just uh, old time, honey was a big deal in the mountains, right?
Hmm.
Because it was the only sweetener you got. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, and so you might want to keep your child close to home, right? They're getting ready to go. It's not a good decision for them.
Hmm.
And believe me, moms don't be
Yeah.
controlling.
Right.
But if there's something about the child that you want to keep them closer to home, maybe they tend to roam. Maybe they're a 4-year-old and they just wee, and you
Yeah.
want to make sure that they stay closer.
Sure.
Then all you have to do is use honey, right?
Hmm.
And there is actually a spell in the book, and I'll do it real fast. Place a photograph of the child on a plate and pour honey over it. Make sure that the photo is covered front and back. You got to make it sticky. Take the plate with
Interesting.
the honey covered photo away from the house as it can draw ants, right?
Of
Okay.
course.
Say the following spells. You're burying the photograph under a tree or bush. Keep my child close to me in their heart as they grow older and they move far apart. So I forgot that is what that particular one is for, is to keep someone so that they don't forget about you in our old age if they
Nice.
do go away. But you can also use that same one for, say, a child that tends to roam, right?
Sure. No, that's useful. That's interesting. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's the honey
definitely.
because it's sweet. It's the sweetest thing we can have are our
Right.
children, right?
Yes, absolutely. Can you tell us a little bit more about the photography part of your life?
Right. I've always had a passion for photography. I actually began with my father. He loved photography, and I still have a lot of his um, old photos on disc. My sister actually collected all of that and had them scanned, and now we all have disc of his artwork
Nice.
before he passed. And so, just watching him, I became interested. And art is so, photography is so different now. Like one of the things I truly love is what we call special effects photography. I love doing witches and elves and, anything like that. That's my passion. I
Right.
also like haunted locations, reportedly haunted locations.
Right.
I actually wrote a book. I wish I would have, one second.
Okay.
It's actually called The Ghosts of St. Albans Sanatorium.
Okay.
And, I walked into this place, and let me show you. I walked into this place and I realized that there wasn't much about it, right?
Okay.
Written about it.
Sure.
And I connected with it on a soul level, this
Mm-hmm.
particular St. Albans Sanatorium out of Bradford, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt I needed to write a book on this. So I did a lot of research
Okay.
and interviewed people who actually went to investigate. I
Okay.
got their experiences, which were just very significant. I mean, these people just, when they think about paranormal people, they think we're all uneducated. I have a master's degree, and I have additional master's level work or
Right.
doctoral work through Old Dominion Universities, where I got my master's, but I
Mm-hmm.
also have work completed through Virginia Tech, through George Mason University, and
Right.
through Radford University. I've sat in the classroom because I worked in academics for a
Sure.
while. But this beautiful woman, I want to show her. She was the historian, and she actually wrote a chapter which was the history of the location. She is
Oh,
no
good.
longer with us, but she was and is such a beautiful soul. Her name is Shelley Sprouse Mead, so I just wanted to mention her. And
Okay.
also, Marcel, a call out to you because she is the director of operations there, and so many other people.
Well, that sounds wonderful.
Mhm.
I viewed some of the photos you've taken and they were lovely. I
Oh,
really thought they were really well done. So that's
thank you.
amazing. Yeah,
Thank you.
that's wonderful.
Yeah. I've been doing photography probably since college because obviously I've taken a multitude of, photography courses,
Hmm.
but I think we're all drawn to certain things. There's just something about it. I like finding when I do my photography, I like to find the soul within, the spirit within.
Hmm.
It's what I really try to do and
Sure.
capture that.
That's amazing. Now, I understand that you have some other things that you've worked in. Like, can you talk about your Reiki stuff that you do?
Yeah, I will tell you, and I don't want to offend anybody. I'm a Reiki master and a Reiki master teacher, but here's the thing. I was doing this, we call it in the mountains hands on, right?
Hmm.
Hands on healing.
Right.
And if you look at the old like Renaissance paintings, and you see the saints, and you see like John the Baptist,
Hmm.
or Christ with the halo. That is the crown chakra. That is where God's energy comes into us. And
Right.
then you'll see their hands outstretched like this, and you'll see glow.
Right.
That's God's energy passing through the body.
Hmm.
And so people in the mountains, you don't need a certificate to practice energy healing.
Right.
And that's what these ladies did. I mean, they'd gather around, somebody that was sick, and they'd lay their hands on them, and
Right.
they'd pray. And they also knew, though, if it was God's will that someone goes home on that day, that there is no recourse, if that is the day they are being called home. There
Right.
was never any question. They didn't question that. It was
Right.
simply God's will. And that's kind of what I heard, right, and being raised. And I can understand why people get angry about losing someone,
Sure. Oh, sure.
but when we look at most of the cases, the person is ready to go.
Yeah.
Probably 9 out of 10, or at least 8 out of 10 times, they are
Right.
ready to go. They have suffered in this lifetime, and it is time for new beginnings.
Right. Absolutely. It's definitely a type of work that I think a lot of people don't know that much about. And I honestly believe that it's one of the most effective ways for healing to enter the body.
Mhm.
It's a lot more gentle. I've had remote healing done on myself from a
Mm-hmm.
friend that does Reiki, and I was astounded. I didn't even have to tell her what was bugging me. I just said,
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel good. And when you have those moments or days when it's hard to verbalize, your body's kind of out of whack and you just don't feel right. And I contacted her and she was thinking about me, and I thought, this is kismet. We're supposed to talk today. And
Mm-hmm.
we visited just briefly, and she said, well, let me do some remote work and see what I can find. And sure enough, she found some things that were not great and took care of it. And I slept so good that night.
Mm-hmm.
And the next day and the day after that, I kept feeling better and better. And I thought, holy smokes, this is amazing. I mean, I've done remote viewing and I've done a lot of things in the spirit world remotely, but remote healing was a new thing for me a couple of years ago. And so I'm a big fan. I've
Mm-hmm.
never had a Reiki session in person, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely a fan of the modality. I think it's extremely effective, at
Mm-hmm.
least in my experience, it is.
No, I absolutely agree with that. And like with, I'm glad that I got the training because it did give me a level of understanding of
Sure.
certain aspects of energy healing that I did not have before.
Right.
And one of the greatest gifts from that training was the ability to give energy if it's accepted by the spirit of the person,
Right.
in passing, like if you're in a hospital. Um,
Mm.
and you see somebody who is in pain or who is hurting, that you can offer that in an energetic way and push
Hmm.
that energy if they're willing to accept it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's wonderful. Definitely. So, can you share with us some of the things that you have done in your years of experience as a psychic medium?
Okay. By things that I've done, you mean actual readings or?
Just your
Uh,
experiences as a psychic medium? Can you talk
okay.
about what that's like to be a psychic medium, or things that you've done in the field, maybe?
Sure. We are, as far as being a psychic and a medium, because I am both, there's an old saying that every medium is a psychic because psychic just means that you have a sense outside of the five senses of what
Right.
we know, right?
Right.
But not all psychics are mediums. So
True.
that's why I say I'm a psychic and a medium. So
Yeah.
in that realm, it's been interesting. The journey has been interesting. I am an old-fashioned, what they call a trance medium. A
Okay.
lot of people aren't comfortable with that type of mediumship in today's world because you often hear things when other people in the room hear them, right? Because your body is being used for a very short
Right.
period of time. That's what
Right.
trance means. You go into a trance and you let the spirit sit.
Sure.
And it was very common during the Victorian era, and
Hmm.
that is when my last lifetime took place
Hmm.
was late Victorian era and then over into the 20s. So I mean, having that kind of ability is a little different. I'll give you an example that's funny.
Okay.
I was at a dinner, and it was kind of a seance, right?
Hmm.
Is what we were doing, but it was also a
Hmm.
dinner. So we finished dinner and moved into the seance. And I don't recall this because this is how it is for trance mediums.
Right.
But all of a sudden they said I postured into like, what a young man would do. And I
Okay.
started flashing gang symbols.
Oh,
And then I said, I can't believe that BITCH killed me. And I'm staring at this woman. And she said, oh my God, that's my brother. And I said, and
what?
she said, his girlfriend was accused of giving him a hot needle, right?
Ow.
Okay, wait. Then I look at her and the spirit said, and don't sit there acting like you cared. Only he didn't say it exactly like that. He said, like you
Right.
cared.
Right. Yeah.
Because I heard every word you said about me that night at the wake. And I mean, she was like, oh my gosh, it is my brother. And so stuff like that, I mean, that's the stuff that normally I don't know That's just not my thing,
That's
as you can
totally.
imagine.
So let's talk about some investigative work that you have done in the past. Can you think of a story that really surprised you?
Okay, by investigative work, are we talking about what is it called?
Like a haunted location or something that you might have
Oh,
gone to, that kind of thing.
you know, how do if you go to a gunfight, expect guns. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I've never really walked into something that threw me off. Now,
Okay.
because I mentioned this has been a 50-year project,
Sure.
and I even started when I was, about 13, really.
Right.
So not on that end, but I will tell you that doesn't negate the fact that I met an energy far beyond what anybody is comfortable with, and it was some people would call it an archangel, one of the fallen, right?
Okay.
Archangels, and I had an experience once with that with an energy at that level, and yes, that scared me. I'm not some Yahoo type that's going to say nothing scares me. It's not that. It's just,
Right.
you go into a haunted location, expect to meet the spirits that lie within, right?
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
yeah. Now, I will tell you that I have been surprised by people before. And let me explain that. We
Okay.
were we were brought in. I was with a paranormal team, and we were brought in, and they were having a haunting. And I mean, it was kind of reminded me the types of things that were going on of poltergeist activity. And so I got there, and it was, it was nice people, a man and a woman, little girl, and then, clean place. I mean, there was none of the stuff that you're looking for when you think that it just might be negative energy, right?
Sure. Okay.
And then all of a sudden, Granny popped up. And let me tell you what was going on, is that man was not good to that little girl. He was not good to that little girl at all. That was
Mm,
her grandbaby. And she had died like probably less than a year ago, okay?
okay.
And
Okay.
she had been witness to him not being good to this little girl.
Okay.
And so I made sure that the door was within sight when I delivered the hammer, because I flat out told him right in front of the wife. And I said, let me tell you who this is. I said, it's Granny. And Granny is saying, you're not good to that little girl. I mean, because we do what we do, right? And I said,
Yep.
you're not good to that little girl at all. And let me tell you something. If you think that this is bad, she's going to ratchet this up. And because she has the will to do it and she
Right.
has the motivation to do it. So you start being better to this child, and just understand that she has somebody in her corner in the spirit realm, and you just need to be a better human. I did. Yep.
That's a fierce message to land on anybody. So kudos to you for doing that. It's not easy to deliver those messages, but they are, how do I even say this? There comes a point in a time when you're doing psychic work that you realize you're just the messenger, and it doesn't really matter what someone thinks about what you're going to say. You have to say it.
Mm-hmm.
You're there for a reason. It's a purpose beyond you. It's not your choice. But if you deny these things, it doesn't add up well. You must share these things that come through. It's vital.
Mm-hmm.
You're there for a reason, and everything especially like this, it's definitely urgent. And especially in the case of a child that's an innocent, they deserve protection and they
Mm-hmm.
deserve care. And yeah, I completely understand that one. Definitely.
And I will tell you something too, because I feel there might be somebody out there that needs to hear this. In
Okay.
all of the times that I've connected with a child, when they were showing me, because again, I'm a trance medium,
Sure.
I also feel, I call it shadow death, and I see it through their eyes again because of
Okay.
that taking the spirit in, and
Right.
I see it through their eyes. I have never had a child show me pain. It's like before that separation, and it is painful. It is
Yeah.
painful. When we come
Yeah.
into this world, it's painful. When we leave this world, it's painful.
Right.
But I've never felt a child show me pain. It's
Right.
almost like before that last bit of energy, rushes through the body
Right.
that and leaves, the soul leaves the body, that they are spared that. It's almost like God takes their spirit above their body so that
Right.
they do not feel that final excruciating rush of pain, or at least I've never felt that with a child.
I'm so glad you shared that, Pat, because you're right. I have never felt a child that passed having anything traumatic. It's always been very full of love and
Hmm.
very peaceful.
Hmm.
And yeah, there hasn't been trauma associated with childhood death ever
Hmm.
that I have ever noticed or felt. So I'm glad you said that. So yeah, that must be for somebody that's going to listen or see this. So yeah, it's important because when you lose a child, I think that was one of the most profound things my mom ever said. We lost
Hmm.
one of my siblings, and she said, it's the most unnatural thing a parent can experience is having a child pass. It's not supposed to happen. In our minds, we're not trained for that. We don't think about it that way. We're going to die and our kids are going to live beyond us. So having a child pass is very unnatural to our minds and our hearts. And so it's very jarring. So hearing
Well,
something like that is very uplifting. So thank you for saying that.
and there is something else about children
Okay.
is that it is a spiritual umbilical cord that is attached to that child all the days of its life.
Yes.
And we try to think about it. We're connected to them. We try to give sustenance to them, in the worst of times. And when that is destroyed, when that energy is let go of on their side,
Mm-hmm.
it goes to, I mean, it is a spiritual, it is physical. I mean, there is something called broken heart syndrome, that you drop dead from a
Yes.
broken heart. And
Yes.
it happens often to women who may witness their own child's death. It's such a pain that our spirit and our body and our mind, combine to just release us so that we can also follow that child. I know what I'm saying is this kind of loss is unlike any other loss that a person could experience, and I have
Agreed.
been blessed to this point not to, and I don't want to. I want the natural order of things
Right.
um, to happen. Yeah, yeah,
No,
that's my
that's
prayer.
profound. Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely agreed. 100%. I'm right there with you. I hope I never go through that. And
Mm.
I do understand, people that experience that, it changes your entire life. It's not the same.
Um, but yeah, I mean, my recommendation to anyone is allow yourself to grieve. I don't care if it takes 5 years, 10 years, 6 months. Um, the Victorians had, I think, a really good idea of the grieving time, and it was a year that you were supposed to grieve your husband. I believe it was a
Right.
year, and we do begin to heal after that. The first year, I tell people we're all kind of crazy because it
Yeah.
does set us right. We think we're functioning, but for me, it was my mother and my grandmother. They passed very close together, and
Yeah.
I will never forget. I was looking at my clean little house, and then I was in my bedroom and I looked at the shelf where I had their photographs. I
Hmm.
had not dusted that shelf for over a year, and I realized we all exhibit this in some way, and that
Yes.
was mine. I could not bring myself to touch that
Yeah.
particular, those particular items. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I did the same thing.
yeah.
I couldn't even put the pictures out for a while. I had these lovely framed pictures. My mom and her sisters all died close.
Hmm.
Sorry.
That's fine.
And all close together. It was kind of cool in a way because they died a year apart, all three of them. And that I thought was kind of amazing because they got to go kind of together in a way. They literally died
Hmm.
within a week of each other, a year apart. But
Wow.
for those of us that are here, we
Hmm.
lost a lot of ladies for a couple of years. It was
Right.
really intense. Um, but they're such great people. And my mom has come back to visit a couple times, which has been incredible. And she's shared with me things that she does with her sisters and things that happen with family that have passed on. And it just cheers me. So I can tell anyone listening or watching, your family hangs out together. They don't have any more burdens. They don't have any more rivalries. There's no anger. There's no resentment. There is no pain. There's nothing but joy. I had a near-death experience when I was 47 years old. I had a massive heart attack. And I got to visit for 8.5 minutes, which was a very long time, but it went by very quickly. And I can tell you that being across the veil is the most blissful, peaceful, loving, highest energy there is. It is absolutely bliss. It's one thing to tell someone when a loved one has passed on that they're better off. They're this. Well, that nobody wants to hear that. Don't say that to someone who's lost a loved one, because that doesn't feel right. They're not better off when they're away from you. You know, you miss them. That doesn't sound right. But honestly, they are in such a wonderful frame of life. Their energy is so much brighter. We're here to learn things, and this world is tough. Our lives are tough. Sure, we have love and fun, and we do all these cool things together. But beyond it isn't bad. It isn't scary. It isn't horrifying. It's beautiful. It's absolutely bliss. Every second of every moment of every day of every hour. Thank you.
Well, let me tell you, and this is unusual, and I've lived this so long, you just don't care anymore. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
no,
saying?
no,
It's
that's
like you just tell it. Okay, I mentioned that we are astral projectors, and
mm-hmm.
I had a woman come to me once, and she was, your heart just breaks for someone. And we were talking
Yes.
about losing children. She had lost her son. He was 32 years old, and he
Mm.
had committed suicide. And
Oh,
her fear was that, he was in purgatory
oh,
or
yeah.
worse, or worse.
Right.
And so I told her, I said, wait right here. And I started to do my thing, go into
Nice.
trance, and all of a sudden I projected. And I see myself before something that looks like this light gray veil. It looks like a veil because I can see light, and I see people walking and moving behind
Right.
it. And all of a sudden I'm through it. And I focus on this man because I'm hearing all these voices around me.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm focusing on this young man, and I see him.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, he's looking up the hill. And I said, there's this old house. I said, it's an old clapboard house. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, it's got a little bit of paint on it, but where the sun's kind of taken that paint away, it's worn away. But the porch has never been painted. It's never been painted. And I said, and there he is. I said, because I looked through his eyes, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then I see him, and I'm looking down, and I'm seeing like um, fishing gear, right? A fishing vest. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel a fishing pole in my hand. I can
Mm-hmm.
see it. And then it's like pulling back and seeing the whole scene. And I told her what I saw. And she said, Pat, she said, that's the old home place. And he told me once that that was the only place that he had ever felt happy.
Awesome.
But this, since that time, I've done this many times for people where I
Right.
could not bring them over for whatever reason.
Right.
They just weren't willing to come or
Right.
be as close for a reading as
Right.
possible.
Right.
But the one thing I've found is that heaven is, what we would call heaven. I consider it kind of a waiting place for
Yes.
the next life. I do believe in
Yes.
reincarnation. I'm
Me
a
too.
consulting hypnotist, so my practice focuses yes on past life regression.
Yeah.
That's what I focus on, and so I've seen, that heaven, it just depends on who you are and what signifies heaven for you or for that
Right.
waiting place until you're ready to go into the next lifetime. I've never seen like a hospital where you go if you're a broken soul and that sort of thing. I'm not
Right.
saying it doesn't exist. I'm just saying
Right.
I haven't seen it. Usually, I've seen people who were very unhappy, like this young man, who are
Mm-hmm.
now very, very happy. Well, I mean, people are people, and there are people that love to be miserable. So there's going to be spirits that are out there,
Yeah.
who I don't know what it is. It's like they look at the ground and the mud. They just can't bring their eyes up to look at the sky and the stars. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
it's true. So I'm sure somewhere out there you're going to find that. But I'm like you. Most people, when they are ready or when life releases them, uh,
Hmm.
they are at peace. But now I will tell you, and you know this yourself, probably 10% of all, NDEs, near-death experiences that are reported, they ain't in a happy place. It's not like all flowers and nay, nay, nay. I mean, you can have a truly negative experience where
Sure.
what they describe is, sounds a whole lot like, the biblical, what we've been preached to as hell. So,
Right. Yeah.
I wish I had all the answers, Holly, even after
Yeah.
50 years,
I don't know that I want all the answers. I just would like to be aware of other things. And I do know exactly what you're talking about. I know of some people that had near-death experiences that came out terrified.
Hmm.
I think it's very impactful. I think that when we don't get to sort things out, I think it does stay with us. I think it has a big impact on how we feel in the next life. Truly.
I'm I'm going to give you an example from my repertoire of experiences as a consultant hypnotist. This is before I actually got training. This was what, because we all have different gifts, and one of mine is I can often see your past life
Hmm.
because that's the trauma that you will often bring into this lifetime,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And also the joys and just your personality, your
Hmm.
likes, your dislikes, you don't change,
Hmm.
it's an evolution. It's not
Right.
immediate. So this woman called me, and she had a fear of water, like pathological. Like she couldn't walk past a stream. If she was within
Oh, wow.
6 feet of that stream, she would hyperventilate.
Oh,
And when she was telling me this, all of a sudden I saw her. And I saw her on a ship, and I'd already seen the ship. It's like, imagine being a drone and you pull out, and
right.
there's this medical ship, and I know it's a medical ship because it's a big round circle with an old, even red cross, the
Oh,
old
sure.
symbol, right,
Right.
from the
Right.
from
Right.
the Second World War. And I
Yes.
saw her putting up things, right? I saw her putting away. It was like canned goods. So I
Okay.
knew she wasn't a nurse. That was telling me
Okay.
she wasn't a nurse. She was a volunteer on a medical ship. And then you talk about clear knowing or clear cognizance. I
Yeah.
knew that it was in an Oriental Sea.
Oh, wow.
And then I saw the water just coming in at her, right?
Oh, wow.
And I knew that ship had sunk within minutes. I mean, minutes. It
Mm.
was like, bam, whatever happened, it happened so fast, it went down. And again, I see it through her eyes. I see that water coming in. There's no way for her to get above
Right.
water. Well, then I was given her name, and I think it was Margaret Fletcher, if I remember right, that her name was Margaret Fletcher.
Wow.
Well, being a former journalist, I know that there is no people more anal retentive about World War II records than the Brits. I knew that she was British, but not British. That she
Okay.
lived in England, but her heritage was obviously, Fletcher,
Okay.
Scots
Sure.
Irish.
Right.
So I was able to find her, Scotch Irish. She was a
Nice.
volunteer. She was on a medical ship. It went down the Sea of Japan. It was torpedoed by the Germans. It went
Oh,
down in
my.
minutes.
Wow.
So, the thing is, I took all of this information and I
Hmm.
sent it to the woman. And I don't ever reveal people, I mean, it's kind of a private thing the same way. But
Right.
anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
she took that, and when she was able to look at all this, she called me back in a week and said, "Pat, I don't know what it is. I have no more fear of water." So
Oh, nice.
when you were talking about it, that's when I'm like, okay, I need to get credentialed in hypnosis, specifically past life. And actually, I was just trained in forensics hypnosis a few months ago, so I can work
Awesome.
yeah, it's still past life regression, but it's
Right.
specific for working with like police to recover memories, because often when you're a victim of a crime or you see one, you're in
Right.
such shock that the brain just it freezes,
It
and you're
closes
not.
down. Yeah.
Yes, you're not picking up details. So that's when I decided to do it. I saw the healing that took place with her,
Yeah.
and that's
It's
yeah.
profound. Wonderful. So what other things are you working on right now? Now you talked about doing editing of a book and getting something together. What else is going on with you?
Oh Lord. Well, I'm getting ready to go to Haunted America, the Haunted America conference. It's the largest paranormal conference, and I'm telling you, Troy Taylor is he's an excellent author. He's the one that hosted.
Oh,
He
okay.
actually focuses on paranormal and also true crime, especially, you know, interesting true crime throughout the eras,
Okay.
which is fascinating to me. I'm like my daughter. I find the criminal mind absolutely fascinating. But I'll be there, and I'm going to be presenting with two other ladies, and we are going to be presenting on something that I can't remember right now because I have no memory. But I
That's
will be
okay.
prepared come the night of. Let's see. Oh,
And
I do remember.
when and
We're
where is this going to be at?
it's going to be out in Illinois, and my
Okay.
memory kicked in.
Oh, good.
We're going to be talking about psychic ability and how one can improve their own psychic ability. My part of the presentation is focused on astral projection and how we can prime ourselves to actually do that, and how to recognize in the dream state if we have done that or not. So those sorts of things are what I'm going to be presenting, and then the other two will be doing two different other aspects of this. So that's what we're going to be
Fantastic.
doing, and then I'll be presenting at Scarefest, which is the largest horror festivals in one of them, maybe the largest horror festival in the country. But I'll
Okay.
be talking about past life regressions
Okay.
and the impact that it can have on our current lives,
Okay.
because we talked just briefly about that, but
Mhm.
it is amazing. It is powerful. I can tell you guys, it works. I actually bit my nails from the time I don't even remember when, till
Sure.
I had a hypnosis session when I was actually getting certified. And this is, I quit biting my nails. I
That's
had
wonderful.
no need to. So those two things are coming up. Again, I'm going to be premiering my documentary. So I'm going to be doing just major events.
Sounds
Um,
like it.
yeah, for the next year, because I've really got to work on this.
Sure.
And come here, Anna. This is this is Anna. This is what I do during the summer.
Hi.
We keep, I keep Anna during the week so her parents can work. Her dad and her mom. All right, can you go over there for Grandma? I was just like, I know, I love you. So that's what I do during the summer. I get to
That's
play
great.
Granny, just like our gifts, Holly. Everyone is different.
Oh,
Everyone
yeah.
has a slightly different frequency or
Yes.
combination, I guess.
But that's what's so fun. That's why I love talking to other people that are psychic and are working on it, because
No,
it is such a fun world. There's
it
so much to
is.
do. I love it. I love it.
It is.
Definitely.
Do you want me to
All
kick you
right,
off my
you
mic?
ladies. I see that you probably have something fun to do, like making cookies or story time or some kind of craft, I
Well,
bet you.
actually, she's got workbook that she's going to do. We're working on several workbooks. Honey, that blind her, okay? We're working on several workbooks this summer, aren't we?
Are you?
Yeah. And she wins awards, right?
Oh, good job.
Stand up. That tongue in that mouth.
Yeah, it's okay. It's the age. I get it.
It's 7. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
age 7.
Uh-huh.
I, I love
Yep,
her
yep,
though.
yep, yep. Thank you so much, Pat, for your stories and for spending
Oh,
some time with us. And if someone would like to reach you, for the people in the listening audience, can you share how people
sure.
can contact you?
You can catch me on Facebook at
Mhm.
Pat O'Keefe, and over in parentheses it says Bizarre, but I think Pat O'Keefe, it comes up. And
Okay,
then you can catch me on, let's see, YouTube and Spotify on Pat O'Keefe's World of Curiosities. And if you want to email me, it's hauntedphotographer@gmail.com.
perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you, ladies. I hope you have a wonderful
Hey.
afternoon. This is Holly from Holly's Pandorium saying thank you for joining. And as my friend Jay likes to remind me, please hit the like button and share it if you know someone else that might like this content. This is Holly saying thank you, and I'll talk to you again.
Bye-bye.
See ya.